All right, Shalom Hebrews. This is a message from the Israelite Brotherhood. This is a message from the Israelite Brotherhood, and I pray the Israelite Brotherhood family is doing well. Let's get this little message in. Now, this is what I want to talk about, Israelites, because, man, it's awful when you take it all into perspective and you analyze it. Ah, man, we up against a whole lot. That's why it's important to have truth. Man, you got to have truth on the Israelite history. You got to have truth on the Israelite history because it's so vast, man. Man, it's so vast and so man, it's a word that I want to use, but I just can't, describe. But the Israelite heritage, man, it's so vast, and that's why we as real Israelites got to have real correct history. Meaning ain't no other way, because if you don't have real correct history, then you're gonna fall into the mythical Israelites. You know what I'm saying? We the real Israelites, the folks that done converted to Judaism. This is what I want to explain, Israelites. Man, our history, man, but we got to get control of it. And to get control of it is to use the Israelite Brotherhood history. I know a whole bunch of Israelites is using it, and they ain't gonna never get the Israelite Brotherhood credit. But Almighty, y'all didn't mean for it to be that. Well, I don't care. You know what I'm saying? Because, man, it's a lot to it. It's a lot to it. And that this truth got to get out. And man, Almighty, y'all pick the right one, you know what I'm saying, to get the truth out. All right, how about the converts? Listen, Israelites, the converts, the peoples that done converted to our heritage long time ago, in the BC days, in the AD days, before the Common Era, you know what I'm saying, after the Common Era and so forth. And that how all these folks didn't converted to Judaism way back in the BCE days. Man, they kids say that they Israelites. Man, that they descendants, man, especially if they been in it for a long time and then passed that tradition over, which the majority of them have, because it's pure benefits. It's pure benefits. It's pure benefits. It's pure benefits because of the history that they done created. You know what I'm saying? How, let me explain some of the benefits for the converts. Man, they get to pretend that they Israelites. People see them as Israelites. Man, they get to move and do what they want to. You know what I'm saying? And then if people bother them, they get to condemn them, and then have the whole world, man, condemn them. You know what I'm saying? There's some more benefits that trickle down after that, too. You know what I'm saying? The churches pay them homage. You know what I'm saying? And man, it's a whole bunch of benefits. You see how that benefits and then got the Jewish people a homeland, you know what I'm saying, the so-called homeland, you know what I'm saying, after centuries and centuries of being expelled. Have you ever, Israelites, ever watched the Crusaders Wars? That ain't nothing but a proxy war between Ashkenazi and the Sephardists. I explained how the Sephardists function with Islam, you know what I'm saying, the Sephardim, because they Arabic and Arabic looking peoples, and they the same and so forth, and how Islam allowed the Sephardists to function, and how Christianity view Ashkenazi as the Israelites and portray them as being Israelites, and then when they look at Israelites, Christianity look at Ashkenazi. So, this little proxy war has been going on for a while, but it's so much benefits, man, with claiming Israelite heritage, because all nations, man, is kind of like, connected to biblical history, even though it got distorted and blurred now. We kind of putting, some clarity to it, to where all the nations come from. But, the nations that, peoples that then converted to Judaism, I mean, it's man, it's a, you know, it's profitable, you know, and man, they been running a profit thing for a long time. I got plenty videos showing how the Randonites and they're seen as Jews and how they done took Judaism all over the world, and it's been a benefit, man, to be able to function all over the world, everywhere. You know what I'm saying? Everywhere, even in the Americas and so forth. And man, it's just been benefits, and especially if the world and nations and peoples think that you the children of Israel. Oh man, you know what I'm saying? You get to move around a little bit, and that's one of the reasons why they don't want the real Israelites to be seen as Israelites. All right, Israelites, this is what I want to talk about. How many converts to Judaism in the BCE days and 80 days? How many of the converts' descendants think they're Israelites today because of conversions long ago? Man, it's gonna be all the people, the ones that's around today that's claiming that they Israelites in all these different lands and nations and peoples, millions of them, that they think they Israelites today because their parents converted long time ago in the BCE days, in the 80 days. They converted to Judaism. And then if you convert to Judaism, man, and then you doing Judaism after you already so you can claim an Israelite heritage, and then you can be seen as an Israelite just from the religion itself. And mean that's what a whole lot of conversions went on in the past, and millions of folks right now today think that they're Israelites because of the conversions and stuff. And we Israelites, man, gonna have to have some truth. We're gonna have to have some truth to show real, correct Tanakh history. See all those other histories that the peoples have about their Israelite heritage ain't gonna come off the Tanakh. It ain't gonna come off the Tanakh and stay within that sphere. It ain't gonna do that. You know what I'm saying? I didn't analyze all of them. It ain't gonna do that. And that the real Israelites who went into Africa history stay within the Tanakh history with the curses and everything, and that you can see Almighty Yah's will uh, 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 manifested in us, man, from the curses and us breaking covenant, and you see everything that he's saying came to pass through us. Whereas these converts and peoples around the world and then converted to the Israelite heritage, they don't fit the curses, and that's why they have to create tragedies and so forth, create tragedies and so forth, like the one that went down in Germany that I didn't explain, that was just mostly targeted against the Sephardim, you know what I'm saying? And they people's like, and that how Ashkenazi got caught up a little bit if he was made it with him, but that how that your boy, the German leader, Adolf, Adolf H, had Ashkenazi generals, men in his army. You know what I'm saying? I think I got a video explaining that, about 20 of them. Ashkenazi Jewish practicing generals in his army. So, it was just a robbery thing, how the Sephardists lost control of Europe, and then how the Europe men become a predominantly Ashkenazi stronghold. You know what I'm saying? That's like, man, man, I'm gonna talk about a few of these ancient tribes, man, that's even from Europe. You know what I'm saying? It's like Ukraine. Man, that's a Scythian. Man, that's a Scythian homeland. Ukraine is a Scythian homeland, and that's an Ashkenazi homeland, and there's some stuff going on there now. And then right across the way, man, the Khazars was right across the way and was hanging around there and so forth. And then that, those are the Ashkenazi related tribes and so forth that was in Europe. Man, I just finished listening, man, to this one video where the guy was talking about, that's the Khazars' homeland, how that if it wasn't for the Khazars, men that Europe would have got engulfed in Islam, and how the Khazars was the first to take it to them and stop, the Islamic self-hearted proxy advance, and that how Ashkenaz, converted they peoples, you know what I'm saying, and how that was used, man, politically and strategically, man, to stop, you know what I'm saying, them folks from the south, you know what I'm saying, in Arabia and so forth, man, from penetrating up into Ashkenazi Japhet homeland and so forth. That ain't in scriptures that Edom, you know what I'm saying, to take over Japhet heritage, but that Edom would take over, you know what I'm saying, the Israelite heritage. All right. How many of those folks that converted to Judaism in the BCE days and in the AD days think that, you know what I'm saying, they're Israelites, they descendants, all of them. Everybody, you can't trust nobody with an Israelite heritage or claiming the Israelite heritage that's outside the transatlantic slave trade. Oh, we blessed. We blessed because we can show that we the Israelites with no problem. And then stay within Tanakh history. But the people that claim a Israelite heritage that come from converts, guess what history that they gonna use? And we gonna be able to destroy it. They gonna use that 10 laws tribe. They gonna use that 10 laws tribe myth. And then they heritage gonna come off that. See, and we can defeat that real easy. I got a whole bunch of videos showing how to defeat the 10 lost tribe doctrines and so forth, the myths and so forth that let everybody into an Israelite heritage. See, we getting to the source, man, of it now, man, of all these folks, man, claiming the Israelite heritage from, and look, they even show you too. You know what I'm saying? They even show you too, because the majority of these folks that's being shown is kind of like Ashkenazi snitching on them. He's snitching on them, even though he show a little of his heritage in the conversions and so forth. But we know that it was going to be a whole lot of conversions just from the Amorites spreading the Babylonian system around and then using the Israelite heritage as a protection and so forth. And then that's how, all the conversions got in all these lands, because them folks gonna want to convert some folks and make it safe for them when they come into their lands, and then have spies, and then folks that's willing to collaborate men against the peoples, is to convert. I'm saying that's what the peoples did in the past, and that's how they got a monopoly on the world, through the conversions and so forth. And now they bringing those converted folks in as real Israelites as payment for their deeds in the past. Yes, yes, yes. Look, converts to Judaism. And then let's see, then you know what I'm saying, they try to go off into saying that, you know what I'm saying, I'm gonna show this article, and then I'm gonna explain that basically after the exiles were destroyed and all those foreigners that was in our land that was taking on the Israelite heritage fell immediately up under the Judaism, which is a counterfeit Israelite history. Judaism is counterfeit Israelite history, and they embraced that because they wasn't the real Israelites. And we got to expect that if we abandon our heritage to some other folks, that they're gonna create another version of our history, because they're not us. That's like the people, we can use the dancing and the rapping and so forth. We know that, the Hebrews created that ruckus, but then if you listen to the other folks, do it, you can say, well, we know that we created that, even though that they got a version of it, and they sound, some of them sound good and be bumping and so forth, but they are not the original creators and so forth of that, music style. All right, men converts to Judaism. All right, so man, there's a lot of folks converted to Judaism, man. I'm talking about, hey, everybody, brace yourself, put your seatbelt on, cause it's, you know what I'm saying, and if you become a Jew, that automatically makes you a Israelite. And then you get to say what tribe, the 10 lost tribe, and then pick you a tribe, and then you know what I'm saying, good to go. And then it's like a club, an association, and so forth. And you got, you know what I'm saying, protection if you fall up under that. But we Israelites ain't trying to fall up under that, because we the originals, and we finna show where everybody got an Israelite heritage from. We ain't mad at nobody because they claim an Israelite heritage. Guess why? Because we broke the covenant and abandoned it to the folks. So we can't get mad, but now that we waking up, we the descendants of the folks that did that, and how we claiming our heritage back. And we want our heritage back, and we don't want to be what our captors made our forefathers. We don't want to be that. We don't want to be the Negroes, the blacks, the African Americans, and so forth, and how we want to be what we supposed to be, Israelites. So, all right, who is you? You know what I'm saying? And then, they go on, you know what I'm saying, Jewish mystical teachings. The Kabbalah ain't nothing but that old Babylonian stuff. But as you look, converted nations, groups, or tribes from Christianity. Now, these folks was Christians, and then they converted to Judaism. You know what I'm saying? Man, it's awful how our heritage and just been spread around like like lunch for everybody. You know what I'm saying? Like lunch for everybody. Everybody done had some of our Israelite heritage. Everybody done had some of our Israelite heritage claiming. And some of the folks say, my folks been Israelite since the first century AD, and we got records and so forth. All kind of stuff, man. And it ain't too much nothing we can do. Ain't too much nothing we can do. Look, they hurry up and throw these folks number one. They let you know the Abu Yudia are a community in eastern Uganda near the town of Mabel who practice Judaism. They are devout in their practice keeping, you know what I'm saying, and such and such and such. But, they try to say, and them folks are converts, and now I explained how Edom went into, the Sephardics went into Africa to do trade and converted a whole lot of tribes. And then I got videos explaining how the Ethiopian Jews come from the Hamites and the Edomites from Saudi Arabia and so forth, and how none of them folks lost their heritage, and all them folks, we got to understand that if folks convert to Judaism, that they claim in the Israelite heritage, and that they move around, and that they have conflict with the other religions and folks, men in the regions and so forth. And they might go through that ordeal for a long time, and then they kind of like cemented in the world because they got history of persecution, and then they try to say that they the Israelites. No, Ashkenaz is telling on these folks right here, and he letting you know that they are not Israelites, and we know that they ain't Israelites because of the transatlantic slave trade. What ship they got on? You know what I'm saying? And these folks are all right. Timboti Bermusi ethnic group. Man, these folks, man, I'm talking about, man, the Israelite heritage been spread around, and them folks in India, men and so forth. And then you got, all right, now we know that the tribe of Ephraim, I explained explicitly how the tribe of Ephraim was connected to the Mishwish tribes, and how that they wouldn't go nowhere but into Africa, where some of their kinfolks was, and that how these folks claiming to be Ephraim all around the world, man, is pure crazy and evil. Look, all right, the Tuvalu, these Jews become to speak to in our small communities, primarily called, you know what I'm saying? I tell you, these folks got converted. They in in India and so forth. You know what I'm saying? And we know that wherever the Randanites went, that they gonna be able to convert, you know, to the Randonite Jewish guilds. You know what I'm saying? The merchants, that wherever they went, that they converted a whole lot of folks and stuff. And you can go backtrack and see that those folks that they converted are recognized as Jews today, or Israelites, and you know they collaborating with them and so forth. But they all come off converts. They all come off converts. Everybody is a convert if you didn't go into Africa and get snatched up on them ships like Almighty Yah say his people would be done. Now all these folks just claiming the Israelite heritage gonna get it from the folks that we abandoned it to. No matter which kind of way, and it all from the man, we're going to say after the exiles was destroyed from that point on down. And they kind of explain it too, and I'm going to show it to you. But look, all right, now we know, look, some Inca Jews. Got these Israelites tore up, thinking, look, these the Incas. Now we know that the Sephardians come over to the Americas first with the Phoenicians, been trading around. They Amorites already, so they gonna be able to trade with the Phoenicians because they Amorites after they lunch from Syria, Lebanon, and then trade throughout the whole Mediterranean. Man, them folks got over here, men and set up and so forth. Look, this junk is evil. This is real evil. Look, the B'nai Moshe, also known as Inca Jews, are a small group of several hundred converts to Judaism originated from the city of Troya in Peru to the north of the capital of Lima. Judaism moved to the south. And look, man, see, everybody got some of the Israelite heritage, and that's why the Israelites saying that the Incas and the Mayas, man, that's because the Sephardians went there and converted them folks long time ago, as well as moving there and mixing with the natives and so forth, and then keeping their Jewish heritage. Now look, they got the Falashas up here. Let's see what they say about them. Falashas are the descendants of Beta Israel community in Ethiopia who converted to Christianity primarily as a consequences. All right, now all these groups supposed to converted to Christianity and then came back to Judaism and so forth. So, you see, a religion you can flip flop. You know, being a real Israelite, you can't do nothing but be a real Israelite. Even if they call you Negroes, blacks, African Americans, and all of those crazy stuff. Look at Philosophies. Now, some Israelites get all emotional because you see a pigmented person claiming our heritage that you say, that's us, and we are them, and you put a big old smile on your face and you get happy. No, you should be real sad. You should be real sad and horrified because that's our heritage being spread around folks that don't care nothing about us and ain't trying to bring us into our heritage and be truthful about it, and would deny the real Israelites their real heritage. And then how we just be so sad, man, for these folks with pigmentation that's claiming the Israelite heritage. And then some Israelites think that the people are Israelites and that some kind of way that they just missed the ship. You know what I'm saying? The ship taking us from Africa for 275 years. Ain't missed nobody. And I explain why. But some Israelites think that those folks just, Almighty Yah just left them, and that how did he just lead them, and they can just continue to practice the heritage up off the covenant land, and that how that they could be in all these lands everywhere practicing the so-called Israelite heritage that require you to be on the promised land, and how it's just okay. Oh, it's okay, and everything is all right. It's what you Israelite minds that's confused think and so forth. Nah, it don't work like that. It don't work like that. It took 275 years to remove us from Africa So the Creator ain't missed nobody. We should know that the people that we abandon our heritage was gonna have some descendants and converted folks and everything, and that, you know, the Sephardim are pigmented folks too. They might not have a big degree of pigmentation, and that it would make sense for them, men, to convert men some more folks. You know what I'm saying? And that's what they did. See, all them gon' I don't know if the Ethiopians can use that 10 lost tribe lie, because they in Africa and you don't see them too much promoting the 10 lost tribe lie, and how that they'll try to, you know, they created false history for them, saying that some of the Israelites left during Solomon time and went and stayed in Ethiopia and so forth. And man, that's just pure false. Pure falsehood. Pure falsehood. Alright, and then these folks right here, what is these? Saying Nicardro Jews. Man, I'm talking about everybody got our heritage. Everybody. Everybody got our heritage in some of the craziest places. And that those folks are recognized as Israelites today because of the conversions long time ago. And that how we gonna have to say, how we gonna put our foot down and say that if you didn't get on the ship with the yoke, that you ain't no Israelites. And then explain how we ran into Africa during the Babylonian wars, and how the people we abandoned our heritage to did not record that. You know what I'm saying? Look, they ain't trying to pull this up. I wonder why. It's usually when you line up under that. All right, the Jews are, all right, some Italy Jews. Look, the Jews are sitting on a small community of proselytes in Italy. So some Italy Jews that would turn to Christians and then come back to Judaism. And these some Russian ones. Subnotniks. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, Sabbatarian sect, alright, and then the Veracruz, alright. Other converted nations, groups, or tribes, alright, Edom. Look, they gonna dispute that. Dispute it. No, it ain't disputed, because they'll show you in Jewish sources and readily admit that Edom was absorbed into Judaism. And that's going to be the Sephardims, just point blank. Men, the Sephardims are Moabites, Amorites, Ammonites, Edomites, all the ancient tribes that we supposed to had demise and got rid of. They become one in them, and it's like they all still there up under them one group of people and so forth. And that's just the way it is. And all this could be shown in the Tanakh. All right. 2nd century Edom, BC, conquered and converted to, all right, you know what I'm saying? We know we got that according to rabbinical tradition. Right, you know what I'm saying? I showed that Obadiah was an Israelite. Let me see. The Egyptian, Lebanon, Syrian, 2nd century conquered it. All right. All right, then now, man, I was going to go into Helena, queen of Abaddon, from, you know, the Greek religion, and her sons and so forth. All right. The Nabateans, according to popular historian, dang, the Nabateans been converted. That ain't nothing but the Edomites, and then the Nabateans is going to be how the Judaism got over into Africa and so forth. You know what I'm saying? That's going to be how Judaism get into Africa, men from these folks right here. The Nabateans were an ancient Arab people who inhabited northern Arabia and the southern Levant. Their settlements was predominantly Sumerian art. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And this is where the Sephardim going, whole lot of them, you know what I'm saying, roots lie within this, and this going to be what they call the Arab-speaking Jews and so forth. But they all mixed. They all the same and so forth. They all the same if they fall up under the Sephardi and stuff. And they heritage go here all over kind, but it's all with the pigmented folks and so forth. You know, but this the thing about it is that we the Israelites, and that how the Sephardists would deny our Israelite heritage and connection to the Israelites, knowing that we the real Israelites, but accept all the other pigmented folks around the world, the Chinese, the Indians, the Malaysians, all them folks, man, accept all them as being Israelites, but even the Africans. But for some reason, the people that got on the ships, they got the curses of Almighty Yah and suffered like Almighty Yah say they would not accept us as Israelites without conversions. We ain't converting. Why should we have to convert to our name and title and so forth? And then if you converting to something less than what you is, because you the original. In our heritage, the old covenant that we broke, man, it's no longer in effect. The curses he used, but far as us being on the land trying to keep the law, that's over with. We got to do a whole nother law when we get all this mess sorted out. We got to do a whole nother law, and all this is forming another law in another covenant by putting these other folks men in their position. Look, the Khazars. You know what I'm saying? I just finished watching this video, man, about the Khazars and you know how did they stop Islam from getting up into Europe and so forth. Stopped them from getting up in there and converting the whole Europe. All these folks would have been saying, Assalamu alaikum. If it wasn't for the Khazars putting a foot down, you know what I'm saying, protected Japhet's heritage. It's all that it is. It's all that it is. It's all that they did was protect Japhet heritage from the Edomites. Even though some of the Khazars converted men to Islam, and that'd be your Kirks and them folks that Iran and Turkey be against, got them in a little box like trying to get them and stuff, and them gonna be the ones that converted to Islam. Damn, and their name will come back to me in a minute. All right, so the Khazars, all right, King Bulan, and look, the Hermaites. Now this is where the Ethiopian Jews gonna come directly off these folks right here, and that they will go over into Africa. You know what I'm saying? They right there on the coast in Yemen and so forth, and all up and down there, and that's how the Israelite heritage got translated over to the Arabs, man, and for them to create a religion. All right, the Hermaites, all right, referred to as the kingdom by the Greeks and the Romans, was in the southern highlands of Yemen. It was one of the name of the regions. All right, so we know that the Ethiopians conquered Yemen and lived in Yemen, and that's where, you know, they gonna mix with, they are the Hamites, the Philoshes and so forth, and they lived in Etra and all the. I got a video, man, explaining this and that how the Sephardim is calling them in and say that they are one, because they are one, and that they get to promote and have an Israelite heritage because they connected to the peoples that we abandon our heritage to. And that's where Ethiopian Jews come from. And we should be having common sense about this, that Almighty Yah word is real, and that the people's history gonna be false, that if Almighty Yah say you gonna get on the ship with some yoke and took into a bondage, and that everybody got to be went through that in order to be an Israelite, because you got to be in Almighty Yah's word in order to be his people, and how all these peoples around the world claiming the Israelite heritage don't fit none of that. They don't fit none of the curses. Now, they might have one or two of them on them, but they ain't gonna have where their heritage got blotted out. Where your heritage got blotted out is one of the curses. It's one of the curses where your heritage meant to get blotted out. And you be called by funny names, and well, not so funny names, but terrible, horrible names and so forth. You know? So if your heritage ain't got blotted out, then something ain't right. Something ain't right about your Israelite heritage. Look, this is Deuteronomy. This is Deuteronomy 29. But as you read Deuteronomy 28, look, and the Elohim shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships whereof I spake of thee, and thou shalt see it no more. You know what I'm saying? We sure ain't seen the land no more. And look, and when you get over to 20, and the Elohim will not spare him, then the anger of the Elohim will smoke, and his jealousy will smoke against that man, and all the curses that are written in this book shall lie upon him, and the Elohim shall blot out his name from under heaven. What y'all think happened to us? What y'all think happened to us? Our name got blotted out. Our name got blotted out, and that's why come they called us Negroes, blacks, African Americans, and all that old crazy stuff. You know what I'm saying? All that crazy stuff. Look, and I said I will scatter them into corners, and I will make the remembrance of them to cease from among men. Hey, that happened to us. We are the only people that true name then got erased men in history, and that they call us by some stuff that they done made up. Negroes, blacks, African Americans. And then I just made a post not too long ago on social media explaining that if you an Israelite and you fighting for a black cause, that you're not fighting a real cause, because black is universal, and a lot of folks, and that how did everybody that's so-called black ain't going through what we going through as Israelites, and that how you wasting your time, and how all your time and effort and energy should be spent in the Israelite arena or orb, and you should be helping in that arena, because if you just helping black cause, it's like throwing your money in the ocean. I mean, it's like throwing your money in the ocean. I mean, it ain't helping nobody. You know what I'm saying? When you can put it in the pool, you know what I'm saying? Where we at, a little Israelite organization, man, you needs to help. All right, let me see. If I go to Psalms 34:36, let's see what that say. Psalms 34:36. 34:16. 34:16. The face of the Elohim against them that do evil, to cut off the remembrance of them from the earth. And that's what happened to us, our whole name. You know what I'm saying? And it was a curse, man, for that. Being called proverbs and bywords and so forth. You know what I'm saying? All right, let's see. This Deuteronomy 28:36. And the Elohim shall bring thee, and the king which thou shalt set over thee into, and thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword among all the nations where the Elohim shall lead thee. That ain't happened to the converts. Men, the converts ain't been through none of that. Men, the converts been holding their head up in dignity, claiming the Israelite heritage, and ain't lost sight of it since they converted. Now, us real Israelites, man, we got our heritage knocked off and up under, man, our feet. You know what I'm saying? So, but the folks in Yemen, is where the Ethiopian Jews come from. And they say that they got them as converts and stuff. They got them as converts. Ashkenazi snitching. It's Ashkenazi snitching, because you see all these folks, mostly pigmented and so forth. So he's snitching on them and stuff, and he ain't telling about the folks that he converted all up in Europe. You know what I'm saying? And all these folks claiming the Israelite heritage from his conversions and his synagogues, and converting folks on the quiet tip. You know what I'm saying? He ain't gonna just publish everybody he converted. But if you go to the Sephardic sources, they gonna probably point out everybody that Ashkenazi converted. But you could tell this is some Ashkenazi doing snitching on the Sephardics, showing that they folks ain't Israelites. Look at all these folks, man. All these folks, everybody converted. Everybody converted. Look, the kingdom, look, there's another group of Ethiopia, a whole bunch of the Edomites flocked it to Africa with Judaism. And then that's gonna be the Limbas, the Igabus, and all those folks gonna come off the Edomite heritage coming into Africa. But look at these folks, you know what I'm saying? And Israelites, man, like I say, will be moved by this, and because they see a pigmented person that they just swept down, that's us, and not knowing these folks converts and so forth. Converts, converts. Look, everybody, everybody converted to the Israelite heritage, man. Everybody, all kind of nations and peoples and so forth. Everybody, man. I'm talking about, man, the name and the list go on. The name and the list go on. But them folks converting to our heritage don't make them Israelites. Look, check this out, man. I want to show this. And that during the Hasmonean era, is when the folks, you know what I'm saying, really came and start getting into our heritage. Let me see if they tell you this. They might tell you. You know what I'm saying? Like I say, Ashkenazi a snitch on himself. All this. All right. Let me see. Hellenistic Judaism was designated for Judaism, the Greek-speaking world, including those Jews who spoke Greek and adapted to the Greek way of life. Man, they telling you that one of these times that is when the Hasmonean folks is where that they mostly start converting and everybody start claiming the Israelite heritage. You know what I'm saying? Now let me see. All right. When did convergence in Judaism start? Let's see what they say. You know. All right. So now look, all these folks that's been claiming the Israelite heritage since the BC days, and then they done hung on to it, and then they gonna swear up and down that they Israelites. Look, has argued convincingly that the conversions of Judaism began to occur in the 2nd century BCE as the Hasmoneans come to power and develop a understanding of Jewishness that that permitted people to adapt Jewish customs and this acquire Jewish identity. Indeed, you know, if they say that you got a Jewish identity, is that you from the tribe of Judah, because Jew supposed to be short for Judah, and then some of them just claim the rest of the tribes. And this stuff been going on for thousands of years. Now that's what we Israelites is up against. Now that's what we Israelites is up against. But what we have to show is that we broke the covenant, the real Israelites, and that we ran into Africa to do the Egyptian religion, and how it never was any 10 lost tribes. And I got plenty of videos covering this. And that if we show that, then we should be able to show easily that the other people are not Israelites, because they have a history of conversions, first of all. And then we know that if you didn't go into Africa, that you can't be an Israelite, because you didn't get caught up in the transatlantic slave trade. If you didn't get caught up in the, that's right, lights out for them lies. If you didn't get caught up in the transatlantic slave trade, then you can't be an Israelite. So that's why come a whole bunch of them jocking the mix with us to get in. You see, a lot of Israelites ain't guarding that. The back end, they coming in. They coming in because they know we're going to wake up and we're going to get the understanding of this, and they going to want to be got in already. But, man, Almighty Yah plan will work over their plan all the time. And that's like, man, when they settle this Israelite issue through the Israelite Brotherhood, I assure Ashkenazi, you know, that everybody ain't gonna be able to come into the Israelite heritage, and how I'm gonna cut a whole lot of folks off. I can't wait to cut them off. I can't wait to tell the Ethiopians, hey man, you ain't no Israelite. And you can't be in our heritage. You can't be in Hebron. I can't wait to tell the Chinese, hey man, you ain't no Israelite. And you can't be in Hebron. I can't wait to tell the Limbas in the Ickaboos, you are not Israelites and you cannot be in our heritage. I can't wait to tell them that. I hope they're hearing it now. You ain't no Israelite. If you didn't get on the slave ship and come to slavery, and then I show our first derogatory name was Grammentian, and then how that name was over here after the Grammentians supposed to have been destroyed and lost in history, and how they still had slaves over in the Americas talking about they was Grammentians. We don't trust the African history that the world is trying to create, because every history that's created is to hide the Israelite heritage. Hide the Israelite heritage, and then they got to create false African history to tie you Israelites into it too, that want to be Africans. You see what I'm saying? And they ain't knocking the Hamites, but the Hamites are not Israelites. The Hamites are not Israelites. And Almighty Yah showed his differences when he had us removed from Africa for 275 years. And I showed that all the Africans didn't go into slavery, and none of the peoples, but a certain peoples being from around these areas right here where we was around here, and then they marched us to the coast, and then off we went to slavery to lose our identity. Plain and simple as that, man. I got videos outlining the whole Israelite heritage, and I ain't missing nothing on his history, because our everything depends on us having truth. And man, we just got to have truth. And this is not a truth for profit, even though I pray one day that you Israelites are able to contribute to the Israelite Brotherhood one day. You know it's going to be for the right cause, and that I'm going to do the right thing with all proceeds. All right, Israelites. Man, there's a lot of folks converted. And what we got to do is, man, we got to say, hey, you ain't an Israelite unless you're from the transatlantic slave trade. And we can show that our heritage is within Tanakh prophecies. And we got to tell them folks, man, that if you didn't get on a ship and lose your heritage, that you ain't no Israelites, and that your Israelite heritage come off conversions long time ago, even in the BC days. Look, these folks right here, all these folks would be converted, man, to Judaism. You know, Judaism was the only religion meant to convert to. Christianity and Islam didn't exist after we broke the covenant. And how did those religions come off our broken covenant? And that's a cold mess right there. When the religions come off a broken covenant, and you can show this, I can show it easily, and I show it all the time. But look here, these folks coming to our heritage. Look, these pull up after we ran off, not counting the ones that was placed there when we was there, and they gonna develop Judaism, and they descendants, and they gonna say that they Israelites, and they tried to get into our heritage. This is Ezra 4. When you get down to let me see, 9, then wrote Rahum the counselor and Shimi the scribe, and the rest of their companions, the Danites, the Fishavites, the Tarpelites, the Arshavites, the Chivites, the Babylonians, and the Shushanites, and the Devites, and the Elamites, and the rest of the nations whom, you know what I'm saying, they set over now. Then not counting these folks right here. All these folks would make other folks, you know, they kids would be claiming the Israelite heritage. I turn right to it. Y'all see that. All right. 2 Kings 17. Verse 24, and the king of Assyria brought men from Babylon, cut them from Ava and from Hamath and from Sepharvaim, and placed them in the cities of Samaria instead of the children of Israel, and they dwell. Right, all those folks would get our heritage when we went into Africa during the Babylonian wars, and they were scribes. and they were scribes, and they was responsible for the Babylonian religions and upkeeping it. And then here they get something new. And they get something new, so they went and spread it everywhere. You know what I'm saying? It's like they had something already that probably people was tired of and didn't really believe, and now they come with some history that's based off the truth, and that they can run with it and write on it for a long time, and man, everybody, done converted, and they done wrote history for them and made them Israelites, and they made the folks Israelites off that 10 lost tribe. That's like all these converts. Man, they gonna be then converted to Judaism, and then they gonna be assigned the 10 lost tribe covers all these folks. All these folks. They say during Assyrian time that we took off into all these parts, and that them folks are us, and so forth. And I can easily show, as I always show, how you defeat the 10 lost tribe myths and lies that let everybody into our heritage. See, it's that 10 lost tribe lie and myth that let everybody into our heritage that cover the converts. The conversions are covered by the 10 lost tribes. But we could take that from him. I take it from him. I'm taking it from you. I'm taking it from you. I'm taking it from you, converts. Look, this is 715 after the so-called Assyrian captivity that King Hezekiah and his great-grandson King Josiah had all the tribes at home. And then I explained that after King Josiah was killed, that how all the tribes was driven from the north into the south, and that how we all went into Africa to do Egyptian religion. And that's how we all was enslaved, because it never was any 10 lost tribes. And King Hezekiah even say that we escaped. Look, in Hezekiah, and this is in 715. This is 7 years after the so-called 10 lost tribe myth and stuff, where the Assyrians supposed to have took 10 tribes and stuff. And I showed that it was us. They kidnapped our fighters to help them fight against Ashkenazi, who destroyed Assyria in 612 BCE. Look, and Hezekiah sent to all Israel. Now remember, this is in 715 BCE. Now I'm going to see if I can pull some of King Hezekiah history up so you Israelites get know. All right. Man, it take a minute, man. This computer so slow. So slow. All right. And Hezekiah sent to all Israel in Judah and wrote letters unto Ephraim and Manasseh that they should come to the house of the Elohim to Jerusalem to keep the Passover unto the Elohim Yah Israel. For the king had taken counsel and his princes and all the congregation in Jerusalem to keep the Passover in the second month, for they could not keep it at that time, because the priests had not sanctified themselves sufficiently, neither had the people gathered themselves together to Jerusalem. And the thing pleased the king and all the congregation, so they established a decree to make proclamation throughout all Israel, from Beersheba even to Dan, that they should come to keep the Passover of the Elohim Yah Israel at Jerusalem, for they had not done so in such a long time. Yeah, man, they was on that Egyptian religion, so they ain't gonna be trying to do nothing. But he tried to get them to come to the Passover, and they did, and I'm gonna show. But if you look at, we're gonna see when King Hezekiah was around. All right. Let's go to see what Beersheba to Dan is. It's good to have this little map. So he would send a message, man, from here all the way to there. And this was in 715 BC. And then we look and see when King Hezekiah come on the throne, 716. But he did this in 715. See, Hezekiah. So this is after the Assyrian captivity, and everybody is still at home. See, this is how we're gonna knock that. We're gonna knock the converts off the box. Hey, I ain't gonna let you stay, converts. I can't let you stay. You know what I'm saying? I can't let you stay because y'all ain't paying homage to us. Y'all ain't showing that we the real Israelites. See, we'll let the converts, we can let the converts stay if they come in under us and recognize us in captivity as the real Israelites. Then we can get the converts a little pass. They can get a little pass. But they can't get no pass saying we ain't the Israelites and they ain't fighting for us. All right, so we see 716 BC. So, you know what I'm saying? He sent the letter to Beersheba. So the post went with the letters from the king and his princes throughout all Israel. Look, throughout all Israel and Judah, according to the commandment of the king, saying, ye children of Israel, turn again unto the Elohim Yah of Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, and he will return to the remain of you that are escaped out of the hands of the kings of Assyria. So they escape. And then he go down and name the tribes. Then he go down and name the tribes. Then he go down and name the tribes. And then all the tribes that ain't mentioned during King Hezekiah time gonna be mentioned during his great-grandson King Josiah time. So they still around. And then we will all go into Africa. You know, and King Josiah cleaned up the whole Israel. He cleaned up the whole Israel like the prophets. He got rid of the Egyptian religion. And then that's what made the Egyptians come out. Because he done got rid of their religion. And the tribe of Ephraim can't do trade across the promised land. Keep going into Egypt. Keep transgressing the law. And let me show you that the tribe of Ephraim traded with the Assyrians, taking all to Egypt. See, history ain't gonna never be the way that our enemies been teaching, and that how they whole history is a lie. Everything that they wrote, man, it's a lie. Everywhere, everything is a lie, and it ain't no truth, man, unless you're coming off the Tanakh history, and that how everything else is a lie. When it's in relations to the Israelite history, trying to prove that the other folks, men, the Israelites. All right, look, you see this is in 753 BCE. This is Hoshea 12. Ephraim feedeth on wind and followed after the east wind, and daily increases lies and desolation, and they do make a covenant with the Assyrians, and all just carried into Egypt. So it'd be hard to kidnap them. It'd be hard to kidnap them, but we know that they didn't have to be kidnapped because that they moved around freely, and that the Assyrians only needed these tribes right here because they was in trouble. Ashkenazi, that was up here, right up here, right up here was at Assyria, man, who was right there. See, the Assyrian Empire. This is it. And you see Ashkenazi, the Scythians, right there. And they destroyed Assyria. And Assyria came to get us to help them fight against them folks. And that's why they just only took these folks right here. They didn't take all the tribes. And these folks will come home doing what's called the Satai history of Egypt, when the Assyrians placed their kings on the throne in Egypt. The Mishwish tribes, the Satai kings. Look, this is First Chronicles 5:18. The sons of Reuben and the Gadites and the half tribe of Manasseh. Let me see. The sons of Reuben and the Gadites and the half tribe of Manasseh are valiant men able to bear buckler and sword, and to shoot with the bow, and skillful in war, were 440,703 that went out to war. All right, then when you get over here to 26, and the Yah of Israel stirred up the spirit of Paul, king of Assyria, and the spirit of Talipaneser, king of Assyria, and he carried them away, even the Reubenites and the Gadites and the half tribe of Manasseh, and brought them to Harlan, Harbor. All right, so you know that 10 lost tribe lie was created to let the other folks into our heritage and to cover up for them. You know, because the Sephardists, man, he been all around doing trade. So, man, we dealing with some folks that go all the way back to the Tower of Babel with their thinking and trying to maneuver and trying to get around. Almighty Yah's will and law. So you got some folks that go all the way back, mean to almost to the creation, that's been ducking and dodging Almighty Yah's law and what's right here on earth, and how did they, try to create falsehood, and being responsible for it to be the gods of Babylon's God's history and so forth. So when these folks got control of our heritage, that they was going, do the thing to it, and they made all these folks Israelites everywhere, all over the world, everywhere, all over the world, everybody on all the four corners, they done made them folks meaning to Israelites and so forth, and that those folks are not Israelites. Now us Israelites are in the four corners of the world because of the United States military, and we everywhere, all over, everywhere. And you best believe that if America get it some kind of way, justice come to it, that all them Israelites gonna be thinking about Jerusalem and try to come home. So that's what that prophecy about. It ain't that we in these lands from conversions and so forth, and then something go wrong and then they all go home, because the Sephardi's are bringing them there now. If Ashkenazi come on and cooperate, we're going to put an end to that. We're going to put an end to them folks, and the Ashkenazi be able to stand behind us. Ashkenazi be able to stand behind us. And I already show you that there's prophecies saying that them folks will be in our heritage and so forth. Ashkenazi be able to stand behind us, and we'll be able to cast the other folks down. And then we'll create something new. We'll create something new. And that's the way it's going to be. But all these folks converted to Judaism in the BCE days, and now they are seen as Israelites today, especially if they hung on to it. You know what I'm saying? Look, this one here, this convert, the queen who built the palace in Jerusalem. You know what I'm saying? Through Jerusalem neighborhood, one of the streets called Helena. Look, she still got a street there. Helena. The street is named obviously for the Queen Helena, but who was Queen Helena? Actually, there was two Queen Helenas. One was an empress and the mother of Constantine the Great, who was the 4th century visit to the Holy Land, according to legend, located such and such and such. But the other one, you know what I'm saying, she was rich too, and then she moved to the Promised Land, and then built a temple and a palace, man, and everything, and then helped the Jews fight the Romans. You know what I'm saying? With Judaism through Jewish merchants. Look, see, I always look. Helena became acquainted with Judaism through Jewish merchants who visited her country according to legend. You see what I'm saying? Now, didn't I just tell y'all that the folks converted, all them folks around the world, off the conversions, and the merchants gonna be the Sephardi's, the Sephardi groups, the Randanites and so forth, and how that them folks traded everywhere, all over the whole planet Earth, in the Americas. I already showed you that they made Jews here in the Americas through Judaism and so forth. All right, Israelites, man, this is just, man, I grit my teeth, man, when I think about all these converts and all these folks all around the world that we're gonna have to show that ain't Israelites, and that how you Israelites gonna have to help. You're gonna have to help secure your heritage. You're gonna have to help secure your heritage by showing that them folks are not from the transatlantic slave trade, and that they converts, and we ain't accepting nobody claiming the Israelite heritage, mean, unless they come from the transatlantic slave trade. And we know who we are is how we cut all that other stuff off. We not gonna recognize them, and Almighty Yah gonna give us the power. We gonna get the power. We getting the power now from information, correct history. And that's, like I say, Israelites, we got to have correct Israelite history going up against the world, because that's what we doing. We going up against the whole world, saying we Israelites, and then trying to prove it, where all these other folks got it established Israelite heritage from conversions long time ago. That's messed up. But hey, it is what it is. This the fight that we got, and this fight ain't gonna do nothing but make us stronger. I can see us being strong at the end of this, after proving all them folks ain't Israelites and that they got to come through the transatlantic slave trade and be up under the curses, and that how we can show in the book of Jeremiah how all of us ran into Africa abandoning the covenant. I got plenty of videos explaining this. Abandoning the covenant, saying that we want to do Egyptian religion, and how we never come back home. We never come back home, and we was enslaved from Africa, and here we are now sorting our Israelite heritage out. All right, Israelites, this is a message from the Israelite Brotherhood. You know what I'm saying? Don't none of you Israelites need to be doing none of these fake holidays that the enemies created. It ain't none but commercial merchant holidays and so forth. All right, Israelites. Oh yeah. Man, it's another thing. Russia say that they coming after the the golden billion. That they say this in the word is not to excite the world, and that they know that the golden billion, those individuals that they control Western culture, and they know that that's the folks in the promised land, and how that they finna have all their proxies, they arming all their proxies, and it's finna be a showdown with Ashkenazi coming soon, and how the Sephardists is finna try to drive Ashkenazi out the land. But if Ashkenazi wanna stay in the land forever, all they gotta do is come elevate us. Come elevate us. Stand behind the Israelite Brotherhood, and we'll cast the other folks out. We'll cast the other folks out. You know, we'll bring the proxy war to an end. That the two groups been having going on, that all the religions was created after, all kind of stuff. All right, Israelites, this is a message from the Israelite Brotherhood, man. I pray that everybody is doing well. All right, shalom, Hebrews.